Hey everybody, look who showed up. For those of you who don't know him, that's Kevin from Gobbler's Roost Adventures on YouTube. Very cool channel.
Thank you, Brian.
And he's down here at my tent camp, and I feel honored to have him here. You just got back from a canoe trip.
Oh, this year?
Actually, two canoe trips.
Two canoe trips, yeah. Each 8 days long. I went up to the Adirondacks. First time back this summer after being away for 30 years. As a younger man, I went up there quite a bit.
Well, what prompted you, after all these years, to return to the Adirondacks and go canoeing?
Well, I'm getting older, and I just missed owning a canoe. So
okay.
I bought another canoe.
Okay.
It turned out to be much heavier for my old body.
Okay.
So then I bought a lighter canoe, and once I got the lighter canoe, that was the key to it. I decided I was going back.
Okay. Ah, cool. I watched a few of the videos.
Oh, I hope you enjoyed them.
Oh, they're excellent. Hey, everybody, these Adirondack Adventure here, series of videos that Kevin's got are excellent.
Well,
canoeing,
they're just a start.
Fishing, camping out in the tent, camping out in lean-tos. Beautiful scenery.
The scenery's awesome up in the Adirondacks, yeah.
So you went to, which lakes did you go to?
I went with our buddy Joe. We went up to Long Lake, and we had a bit of a rough time there. The bugs were really bad. We didn't catch many fish. We had a lot of high wind and a lot of rain. That was the first 5 days. After that, Joe's time was up. I went back up, and I had some calm days. I didn't catch many fish.
Okay.
But the bugs got a little better.
Okay.
Yeah. And then, a month later, I decided I was going back. I went back for another 8 days, and I went to Moose River and Nelson Lake.
Nelson Lake.
Yeah.
Okay, that's the one in the latest video.
The latest video, yes.
The latest video. That's a beautiful spot.
It was a beautiful spot, yeah.
And then the next future videos are from.
Well, they'll be coming up. I'm editing them now. After Nelson Lake, I went to Little Tupper Lake, and
okay.
that was an awesome lake. It's in the William C. Whitney Wilderness area. No motors or anything, no motorboats, canoes only, no live bait, artificial lures, and it's all catch and release.
Oh, wow.
And boy, did I catch and release a bunch of them.
Well, I can't wait to sit down this morning and talk to you about all of it and find out, the how-tos of it. How about, if you wouldn't mind, how about we make a separate video, other than my tent camp video
sure.
here.
We'll
make a separate video of canoeing in the Adirondacks and your experiences up there. How's that sound?
That sounds fun.
All right. Mentioned in the last Tent Camp Journal series video. About Kevin and his Adirondack canoe adventures. Kevin here's from Gobbler's Roost Adventures, really great YouTube channel, and this year he's been doing a lot of canoeing and fishing up in the Adirondacks.
It's been great. I've been having a good time.
And we, like we talked in the tent camp video, decided to put together a separate video, kind of a how-to introduction to canoeing in the Adirondacks. Might be very helpful to someone who has never done it and has the desire to do it, and some of the stuff that Kevin has learned, and just share that information with everybody. Out of the way here. Every trip begins with a planning stage.
Oh, there was a lot of planning.
And how did you plan for 2 8-day trips up in the Adirondacks. Solo, well, one of them was solo.
One of them was with a buddy. Well, the planning started months in advance because I hadn't been there in so long. It was kind of like I was going back there brand new. I purchased some maps. One of them is the Adirondack Paddler's Map, and it's a guide for paddling.
Okay.
There's 3 of them that cover most of the Adirondack Park.
And they're waterproof.
They're waterproof. Oh yeah, you're gonna need that. And
Cool.
they give you the different camps on the different lakes. And it comes with a paddler's guide. It's a separate book that tells you about the different canoe routes. Now, I didn't take routes so much as I went to certain lakes to fish.
Okay,
That's
now
what I did.
there's hundreds, maybe thousands of lakes and ponds in the Adirondacks.
Adirondacks has almost 3,000 lakes and ponds, and I'm not sure how many hundreds of miles of river.
So how
rivers.
did you narrow it down to the spots you went this year?
Well, this year what I did was I started researching on YouTube.
Okay.
2 of the greatest channels that I found were Dax Woods Wanderer, Dax Woods Wanderer. Jay, he's an excellent fisherman. He's an Adirondack paddling guide. And another channel was ADK Addicts. John and Logan, again, great fishermen. And I was just researching and I stumbled across these 2 channels, and they showed me a lot of the different places to go and what fish were there.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So you researched all these lakes.
Mm-hmm.
You narrowed it down to the ones that you thought fit your goal for the trip.
Yep, I narrowed it down. I had a small list. Long Lake, Nelson Lake, Little Tupper, Lake Lila, Lowe's Lake, and a certain section of the Racket River. The Racket River is one of their long rivers.
Okay,
Goes through
so
most of the lakes.
So you've got
many
your
lakes.
locations that you're going to go to.
Mm-hmm.
What was the next step in planning for this? I mean, this isn't like going canoeing for the half an hour on a sunny afternoon. This is a major trip.
Sure.
So how did you plan? Maybe gear that you brought and whatever else, food.
Gear that started probably 2.5 months before I went on the trip. The first thing I did was I went through. I have a room where I store up most of my stuff. I went through and I pulled out what I knew I would need, and then I looked at what I didn't have, and then I started purchasing. And there was a lot of things I did not have because you have to fit everything into the canoe.
And weight's a concern?
Weight's a concern. Well, no, space is more of a concern.
Space,
the canoe can handle the weight, and the more weight you put in it, the more stable it gets. But space is a concern. Actually, you're right. Weight is a concern for some of the lakes because you have to carry everything in.
Okay.
Other lakes, like Long Lake, the put in, you can park right there.
Okay.
But that's a lake that allows motorboats.
All right.
The more remote lakes in the wilderness areas, you most of those you have to carry your gear in a certain distance.
Okay.
Half a mile to a mile or so.
So you got your list of what you need and what you had. You purchased other stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, you brought all your fishing tackle.
Oh, and I brought a lot of fishing tackle, maybe too much. Well, yeah, I definitely brought too
Well,
much
you can
fishing
never
tackle.
have too much fishing tackle.
You're right. You can never have too much fishing tackle.
And you created some sort of menu, I would think. You gotta bring all this food in.
Mm-hmm. Well, I kept the menu kind of simple. I just did hot dogs and hamburgers. A lot of fruit. cheese
Okay.
and crackers, bacon and eggs, that
Okay.
type of thing.
All right.
There was a few things I did that were extra purchases and all of that.
Now, some of the camps there was a lean-to. Some of them you brought your own tent to.
Yep, the lean-tos were massive, big log, massive structures that the DEC, the Department of Environmental Conservation, went out and built. And some of these things are built in these wilderness areas where they had to fly everything in with helicopters and drop it off just to build it.
So, what did you bring that you found that you didn't need?
Oh, that I did. There was quite a list. Especially, yeah, there was quite a list, especially in the beginning. The first morning, and there was so much of it, I have a hard time remembering, but just to give you an idea, the first morning when I woke up, the lake was really calm, and I looked at the stuff. I'm looking at it. I'm thinking, I don't need this. I don't need this. I don't need that. I put a bunch of stuff in my canoe and I paddled back. It was an hour and 20 minutes or so.
Okay.
And put that stuff back in the truck.
Okay.
And grabbed a few things that I almost said forgot, but just plain old Chuck reminded me that we don't really forget things. We think about things, reconsider, and then decide that we'd be better off with this other thing. So I took some stuff back to the truck. I put them back in the truck, and I grabbed some things that I reconsidered.
So you have items that you reconsidered. You had items that you decided that you didn't really need.
I'm still doing that now after 16 days up there.
I'm going to ask you a question. Other than your fishing tackle and your life vest and, of course, the canoe and that, let's make it 3 items. What 3 items did you find the most useful?
Oh, well, back in the day, we'd use big Coleman lanterns like that. Now I have these 2 little tiny lanterns. Those were extremely useful. Another one was they call it a life straw. Mine has a little bag on it to hold water, but it's a water filter.
Water filter, okay.
When I was on Long Lake, I could drink the water right out of the lake, just fill the bottle up, put it on, and drink it like that. That one was extremely useful. And third item, the third item I have not got yet. This was one of my reconsiderations.
Okay.
When I went into Nelson Lake, I had to carry everything in almost a mile. And I have several tents. I didn't think I needed another tent, but the one I had was nice and comfortable, but just a little too big to be carrying in. So I bought a new, what they call, automatic tent. It just pops right up and pops right down when you need it. I'm expecting that hopefully before my next trip, which is coming up.
You can never have too many tents. Take it from me.
Exactly. Yeah, I mean, this is going to be my 8th or 9th tent that I own.
You videoed both trips.
Yep.
What did you do for camera equipment? I mean, some of the cameras, like this little camera here, is pretty fragile to have in a canoe.
Yes, it is. Camera equipment, that was my biggest purchase. I went all out. In the past, for my YouTube channel, I filmed everything with my phone.
Okay.
I did everything with my phone.
And the images are great. I mean,
this is the best camera that I own.
Yeah. If you ever see any of Kevin's videos, they're razor sharp, the images.
It is, but that has its limitations. So I went and I bought one of the new GoPros, and that has different abilities, and it's another fantastic camera.
Okay.
I'm still learning how to use that. There's a big learning curve.
Waterproof?
Waterproof, yes.
Okay.
And I could use it underwater, but I went a little bit further and I bought a cheaper camera that is waterproof, and so I have a third camera that's my underwater camera now. I use that for underwater shots, which is going to be something new.
All right, so you're paddling or you're fishing, casting, whatever. How in the world do you get those great shots? You don't have 3 or 4 arms. You only got 2 arms.
Only 2 of them.
And you're casting, you're reeling in that big bass, whatever. And how in the world did you get all them great video clips?
Well, I'm still learning how to do better and better with the clips, but I have I built a movable thwart that goes in to my canoe. It holds my rods, a little bit of gear, but it also holds my camera mounts. So I have my camera mounts right out in front of me. Okay,
so take us through the scenario that you're paddling along and bam, a fish hits.
That's the way it
happens. How in the world do you catch all that action with the fish?
Well, sometimes, quite often, I miss it.
Okay, that's what I do all the time.
Yep, quite often I miss it. But the GoPro actually is great because you hit one button, it goes on. That's not the case with this. With this, I have to hit the button on top.
Yeah.
I have to swipe. I have to push buttons, and it doesn't always work when it's on the tripod.
Right,
it moves a little bit. So I rely on the GoPro to get the main shot.
Okay.
And when I can, as I'm biting the fish with one arm, I turn and I swipe and I punch and to get this on.
I have to compliment you. The images, especially in that Nelson Lake video that you just put out.
That was a fun video.
Oh, just fantastic.
Wish I would have caught a few more fish, but I caught some.
That's fishing, you know.
Yeah.
Sometimes they bite and sometimes they're not.
Yeah, the next video I'll probably catch a lot more fish.
But the paddling and the scenery and everything.
It's awesome.
Just beautiful, beautiful video.
It's awesome. I'm enjoying so much being back in the Adirondacks.
Great.
Yeah.
I got a couple of questions. I'm just going to throw these at you.
Okay.
All right. You know, there's yings and yangs in life, you know, positives and negatives.
Yeah.
Let's start with, what do you want to start with, a negative or a positive?
Oh, well, let's get the negative out of the way so we can enjoy the positive.
All right, that's a good way to do it. What was the least enjoyable thing about your canoe trip?
I would have to say it was probably, I'm going back and forth between high wind and bugs. The rain didn't bother me at all.
Okay.
The high wind kept me from paddling. It made some paddling hard, and it kept me from getting out fishing.
Okay.
But you know what? It's no contest. It was the bugs. At times, the bugs were really bad. Most times they weren't all that bad. They were there.
Now,
sometimes they was great.
Was that due to the time of year that you went? Or?
Yep.
Okay.
On both trips, it was due to the time of year. I went on Memorial Day for the first trip, and the first half of that, the no-see-ums, they call them punkies in the Adirondacks.
All right.
They were horrendous. But within just a couple of days, 90% of them were gone.
Okay, all right.
And then on the second trip, it was the black flies were starting to come out.
All right.
They weren't really super bad, but they did bite.
Okay, so that's the least enjoyable.
Bugs.
Now you gotta just one item.
Oh.
One item, everybody. The most enjoyable part of your trip.
The most enjoyable part of the trip.
Or trips.
It was always the same thing. It was being out on the flat, calm, glassy water as early in the morning as you possibly could. Maybe the sun hadn't come up over the mountains yet, but we had the tendrils of fog floating up.
Okay.
And just Yeah, I didn't even need to be paddling. I could just sit out there in the lake, and it was fantastic.
Everything's right with the world.
Everything is right with the world. There's nothing that exists other than this right here. You look down the lake, and with all the fog and mist evaporating, it looks like it's the end of the world.
So the
flat Earth people were right in this point. From this point of view.
The beautiful misty lake in the morning. Did that outweigh the bugs?
Oh, it was no contest.
So it was worth putting up with the bugs.
Yeah.
To enjoy.
It absolutely is.
The experience in the Adirondack.
Yeah. Yep.
For the viewers out there that are watching this, and they're dreaming of their Adirondack adventure, do you mind me asking what the cost of something like this is?
Well, in the beginning for me, my camera equipment, the new camera equipment was expensive.
Okay.
But that's a one-off. And because I hadn't been there in 30 years, I had to buy a new sleeping bag, general camping stuff.
Okay.
That most people would have.
But if you already had the camping gear, and maybe you just a amateur photographer, not a YouTube creator.
Well, if you have all your camping gear, you have a canoe, and you can rent the canoes up in the Adirondacks if you don't have one.
All right.
It's a very cheap vacation.
Okay.
My cost was food and gas. The camping sites are first come, first serve. Now, they have regular drive-in and pay-for-your-site campsites that have amenities and things like that. They're usually on a certain lake. But for the canoe-in type thing, all the campsites are free. It's a first-come, first-served basis.
No charge for the campsites in the wilderness areas.
Nope.
Your fuel to get there.
And it took me, we're in the Buffalo area, it took me half a tank of gas to get there.
Okay, so it's doable.
Oh, yeah.
And then food.
Yep.
Hot
dogs and hamburgers don't cost much.
Okay, and so that's a very reasonable.
It is.
Wilderness adventure. One of the biggest wilderness areas in the East, I believe.
It's not a total wilderness area. The Adirondack Park, there's several towns. There's a lot of private landowners that have been there for hundreds of years.
Okay.
It's a conglomerate, but within what they call the blue line, they have wilderness areas, and there's all of these lakes and rivers. Some of these lakes and rivers have campgrounds, motorboats, and things like that.
So depending on whether maybe you're physically challenged, you could go to a regular campground.
And they have
rent a canoe,
access things for physically challenged people.
If you wanted to take it a step further and get in way back in the wilderness,
you can
it's
absolutely
doable.
do that. Yep, you can do that.
And as far as the campsites on the wilderness lakes, what are the rules? I know you said there's no charge, but there's got to be some sort of rules to.
The rules are carry it in, carry it out. If you bring it in, you have to bring it out.
Okay.
You're not even allowed to burn your trash.
Okay.
Carry your trash out.
All right.
That's the big rule.
Well, that's a good thing. Firewood is just what you find in nature, right?
Well, there's a rule there also. If it's on the ground, you can burn it.
Okay.
But you're not allowed to touch any standing tree, dead or alive.
Okay. All right. Well, that's reasonable.
Sure is.
Now, what about the length of time? Oh
yeah.
As much as we all would love to just go there and spend 3-4 months up there, there's when you go.
You can do that actually, but
if you found yourself a nice lake with a nice lean-to or a tent site, how long are you allowed to use that site?
Without a permit, and very few permits I think are written for these sites because it's all just first come, first serve.
Okay.
You're only allowed to stay there 3 nights.
Three
nights and 4 days, and then you have to move.
You have to
You
move.
can just move over to the next campsite if you want, but
Oh,
you have
okay.
to move.
All right. So you can't become a squatter
No.
and this campsite is now mine forever. You know.
No,
Okay.
no.
All right.
You're allowed 3 nights and 4 days, and then you pretty much you have to go someplace else.
As far as destinations.
Oh well, this year I've already done Long Lake, Nelson Lake, and Little Tupper. And I'll be going back to Little Tupper again coming up in September.
Okay.
For Labor Day, I'm going to take a 4-day trip up to Little Tupper.
Okay.
When I was there, I only explored the western side. This time, I may explore the eastern side.
Okay.
I found a real cool campsite that has some old ruins and stuff like that. I'm hoping I can get that.
Oh,
it's
very
open.
cool. Very
Yeah.
cool.
And before Labor Day, I may take a 3-day trip up to a place called Round Lake. It looks like a nice bass lake.
Okay.
Funny enough, it's not round. But future trips, there's going to be quite a bit more. This is going to be a big change in my YouTube channel. There's so many places I want to explore. Most of them will probably happen next year. But along with exploring fishing lakes, I've been scouting hunting opportunities up there.
Okay.
And I've seen deer and bear hunting opportunities, and surprisingly, I'm seeing an awful lot of turkeys up there. So
Really?
maybe there may be some spring turkey hunting coming up.
Wow,
I'm not sure.
that would be cool. That
Yeah.
would be really cool.
Yeah. I don't know if the hunting will start this year or next year, but I'm looking for hunting opportunities. Okay, so when I went to Long Lake with Joe, this is Long Lake here. We started out down here. This is where the put-in was, and we canoed up the lake this way. As far as this lake goes, you can see the green area, that's state land, and the brown area, that's private land. And these red marks here, these are the lean-tos. These are lean-tos, and these smaller little red dots are campsites. And you can see there's campsites and lean-tos all along the lake. Just canoe up, and if one's open and you want to camp there, you can camp there. So going from Long Lake to Little Tupper is very easy. The road is right here. You go across the bridge, and it's about 15 or 16 miles. So you go down this little Sabbats Road here. And for Little Tupper, you park at the end of the lake here, or right over here there's a ranger station. And Little Tupper is in this William C. Whitney Wilderness area, this green area here. No motorboats or anything allowed in there. And you put in here and you canoe down the lake, and you can see there's no lean-tos on Little Tupper, but you can see all the little red dots. These are campsites. There's 20 some of them, more than 20. I camped up in this area here, and I fished mostly this bay here, but I also fished this whole western side. And that was Little Tupper. Round Lake is right over here, and as you can see, Round Lake is not round. I don't know why they call it Round Lake.
Anything else that you want to add, Kevin, to this video?
Just that I'm having an amazing time. I would encourage anybody to go and try it.
Okay.
It's fantastic. It's cheap. You don't need a lot of skill level if you choose your paddling time. Paddling early in the morning when the water's calm. A lot of these lakes, the wind does come up later in the morning. But paddle when the weather's calm, and you don't need a lot of paddling skill. The camp, it's a economical vacation.
Okay. Relaxing?
Extremely relaxing.
Okay. And?
And it's not just a wilderness vacation for those who like different amenities. The different towns have a lot of tourist attractions. There's
Okay.
a water park in Old Forge, antique stores,
Okay.
outfitters stores. You can buy gear, canoes. As I said, you can rent canoes in many places. I just encourage people to check out the Adirondacks if you can, because it's pretty cool. And you'll see a lot more on my channel, Gobbler's Roost Adventures, but you'll also find more on these other channels that I mentioned, Dax Woods Wanderer and ADK Addicts.
Well, Kevin, thank you very much.
Oh, thank you, Brian. This was
I'm,
fun.
I'm hoping that this was helpful to some that that
Yep.
were, you know, maybe on the teetering on the edge. They wanted to try something like this. They'd never done it, and you give them an idea on how to start and what to expect. So, first off, thank you.
Oh, thank you, Brian.
And I'd like to thank all of you for watching. Take care till next time. Remember to keep on
I'm
trucking. And this is the important one.
Yep.
Believe in yourself, even when no one else does.